We have now the fundamental theorem of calculus, the fundamental theorem of calculus. In fundamental theorem of calculus, we have three parts. The first part is here, and this one is talking about this whole. For this one here, this whole, then definite integral from a to b f of x dx equals f uppercase of b minus f of a. And the second one, the second part, where is the second part? The mean value theorem. This is part 2. So I will start now with you part 2 first, and then I'll move back to part 1. So no problem, because عادي some folks برضه كانت بتعمل كده. Okay, but let me explain this for you here in a separate. يعني نعمل explaining لحالنا احنا بعدين نشوف الكتاب. Okay, بسم الله. The fundamental theorem of calculus part 1, part number 1. Okay, this states that if you have a function here like this is the t-axis, and here it's the y-axis, and we have somewhere a function and it's continuous y equals f of t, and this function f is continuous, لازم تكون continuous on the closed interval a b. طيب where's the closed interval a b? Here is the closed interval a to b. يعني لو افترضنا ان a is here and b is here. So this closed interval, sure, as we learned before in the previous sessions, in the area under the curve f of t is the definite integral from a to b, right? Of the function f of t dt. So the definite integral from a to b of f of t dt is equal to the area under this curve of the function y equals f of t. And this theorem states a link the differentiation and the calculus, or the integration or the integrals. So this is the main rule of this theorem that make a connection between integration and differentiation. So let me show you how. هكتب الاول الفانكشن نفسها states ايه بالظبط. States that if we let here the answer is f uppercase of f of x, the f capital here of the f uppercase of x represents the answer or the area under the curve, or states that also this all in the f uppercase prime of x, يعني the derivative of this function should be equal to f of x. What is f of x? يعني here this all gonna equal to f of x, f small or f lowercase of x. Why? We will see this now, guys, in this proof. Okay, but we will change something here only when we have from a to another variable x.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Where is x? Imagine that x هنكتب كده where الرول يعني بتقول كده مش انا where x belong to this closed interval AB. So let me here هحط مثلا الاكس between A and B. يعني افترض ان الاكس هنا in the closed interval A and B, between A and B. So here is the x. Okay. And then let's take the derivative for both sides. The derivative here of f uppercase of x is equal to the derivative with respect to x of this function, the integral from a to x of the function f of t dt. And this should equal to, المفروض احنا نعمل proof بحيث انها تطلع equal f of x. Okay, so what does it mean by the integral from a to x f of t dt? It means that the area under the curve from a to x, right? This shaded green area represents the area from a to x. The shaded green area represents the integral from a to x f of t dt, such that this function is f of t. انت معاك الاريا ما بين ال a وال x. Okay, you know the definition of derivative we have saw in the first term. The definition of what? Derivative, which is the limit. This is all f prime of x equal the limit as
h approaches 0.
h or delta x.
Yes,
You
approaches
can say
0.
h or delta x approaches 0 of this function here. كان فاكرين كان
f of x plus delta x minus f of x over delta
yes.
x.
So f uppercase of x plus delta x, okay, minus the function f of x and this all over delta x. Okay, so what is x plus delta x? يعني here is x plus عليها دلتا x، يعني كمان فيها دلتا x كمان عليها، يعني صارت هنا الاكس بلس دلتا x بعد الاكس، صح؟ and a before b. Okay.
ايش هيرول؟
This is the derivative definition, or the definition of derivative. Okay. We saw it in the first step.
بس قصدي لا بتاعت الليمت دلتا اكس reach to zero.
This all is the definition of derivative. F prime of x can be written as, by using the limit definition of derivative, the limit as delta x approaches 0 of f of x plus delta x minus f of x over delta x. معناها ايه f of x plus delta x؟ معناها يا شباب I will substitute here, substitute in this function, in this all, I will substitute here x بدل هذا تكون the integral from a to بدل الاكس حط x plus delta x. That means ان هي f of x plus delta x
of f of t
of f of t
or whatever
dt.
يعني. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, minus the function itself, all this circled function f of x all is equal to the integral from a to x of f of t dt over delta x. And stop with me for a while يا شباب، ركزوا معايا. أول part this part وين هو على الجراف؟ موجود فين على الجراف؟ من a ل x plus delta x. What does it mean by the indefinite integral from a till x plus delta x f of t dt؟ شوفوا معناه، خلينا نغير الكلر ناخده مثلا ايه؟ here. معناه من a till delta till x plus delta x، يعني all this is the area from a to x plus delta x minus minus the area. Let us do it in white. The area or the integral from a to x f of t dx from a to x f of t dx, يعني this blue area. Let us subtract the white and the purple one, gonna give us only this part. This one, the purple one, or we can do it in green, only this part between x and x plus delta x, which can be written as, we can write it now as what? The limit as delta x approaches 0 of, here's delta x stay the same, and I will replace this all numerator as I showed you on the graph بس بالاريا هذه اللي موجوده ما بين الاكس والاكس بلس دلتا اكس, which can be written as what? The definite integral from x to x plus delta x of f of t dt. Yeah, so I will replace from x to x plus delta x of the function f of t dt. When you subtract the larger area from a to x plus delta x minus the area from a to x, okay, gives you only this rectangle here, this one, which has the definite integral from x to x plus delta x f of t dt. But our issue now, guys, our important part in this theorem is to find the area of this rectangle. Okay, what's the area of a rectangle? Is base times height, right?
Yes.
The base times height. Area of rectangle is base times height. The base is easy to find. أنا بقول between, خلينا ناخد الريكتانجل ده برا كده. It's between x and x plus delta x. So what's the width now? It will be x plus delta x minus x.
يعني delta x.
Yes, which is delta x, because we're gonna cancel x with x. So your width or base is gonna be delta x. But the height For the height, imagine that we take the tallest one اللي هو عند ال x plus delta x واخدنا ال f of x plus delta x. The rectangle will be above what? Above the
واقف
curve.
شوية.
بس الهايت حيكون f of delta x minus f of x.
Yes. If we take here the shortest one at x, so the rectangle will be inside or below the curve. So we still have one part below the curve not covered by this area. So the exact answer for the height should be what? You have to take a letter here. Let's name it C, for example, or yes, let's name it C here. We will take here a value اللي هي طبعا شبه او مثيله للميد بوينت رول. كنا بناخد لما ناخد الميد بوينت رول وناخد mid point between x and x plus delta x gives the most accurate what approximation for the area. Okay, so if we take here the C, so the f of C يعطينا طبعا rectangle. Yes, some of the rectangle above and some below, and the amount that is above the curve is the same as the amount below the curve, so it's nearly the same. So what's the height now will be f of C. What is C? Is a midpoint, it's a point C, our constant C between x and x plus delta x, and the height here will be like this. This is the C. كأننا أخذنا هنا C. Okay, الكتاب بيسميها x star. Okay, so what's your answer now? Let's continue. We will write that the limit as delta x approaches 0 and replace here what? This all in the numerator by the integral from x to x plus delta x of f of t dt. And we said now we can find this area under the curve of this rectangle between x and x plus delta x by multiplying the base by its height. And the base, اتفقنا إن هو delta x, and the height by using the mean value theorem or by using this gonna give us f of c. Okay, f of c. Okay, this all over delta x. This all over what? Delta x. When we cross out delta x with delta x, so we still have only the limit as delta x approaches 0 of f of c. And c is constant. So when I say f of 3 gives 9, f of 10 gives 11. So here, this all will be a number. And the limit as delta x approaches 0 for a number gives what? F of c. But our goal is to reach this part that it's f of x, not f of c. طب ازاي مستر تطلع لك f of c؟ يبقى your answer is correct or not? Let me tell you something. You know, by using the squeezing theorem, you will find that C is sandwiched between x and x plus delta x. يعني this x between x and x plus delta x. When delta x approaches 0, pay attention please, when delta x هذه صارت بزيرو معناها شباب بقت x. فتخيل هذا امتى يكون بx؟ لما يوصل هنا للاكس، صح؟ فده انطبق على هذا، يعني هذا اتحرك راح للاكس فبقى فوق الاكس، فبالتالي اخذ معاه السي، فالسي كمان اصبحت x. اوكي؟ Again, when delta x approaches 0, what happened here for this line here on the graph? Delta x becomes 0, so now x, and this line moved to the left and fit on the x أو بقى فوق الx بالضبط، وشد معاه السي اللي كانت in the middle between them. The c sandwiched between them. So we have to say that as delta x approaches 0, لما delta x بقت 0, the x plus delta x equals x now, since this one is 0. Okay, and also the c becomes x. The c becomes x. Therefore, guys, f of c is the same as f of x. So my answer here is equal to f of x. So now we proved that the antiderivative f of x is equal to f of x. The antiderivative f uppercase of x, which is equal to the integral. When we talk the derivative here, guys, of the antiderivative gives what? The function f of x itself. So how to do this, guys, in our questions? بالنسبة لنا احنا هنا في الكلاس.
تورينا بالأرقام.
Yes, in the examples it will be so easy for all, but here الproof نفسه ده الproof of the first or the second part of fundamental theorem of calculus. The first example, if we have to find أو سألك what's the d over dx of the definite integral, لازم هنا يكون constant like 0 to x of the square root of t to the power of 2 minus 4 dt. طبعا الt بنسميها dummy variable because we have the x here is one share here as a variable on the upper limit or upper boundary of the integration. فبنستخدم الt as a dummy variable. هنشوف بعدين يعني dummy variable, okay? But here we have to substitute x for what? t direct. يعني انت كستودنت بتحل على the first part of the fundamental theorem of calculus. We name it f t c يعني fundamental theorem of calculus. فدايركت يا شباب بتعمل substitute بس. substituting لان احنا وصلنا اصلا في البروف ان this all is equal to f of x. This all is what? Is f of x. يعني what does it mean by f of x? يعني أنا هروح أعمل substitute بس عن ال t ب x يبقى it will be x squared minus 4.
Yes. So diamond we multiply by the derivative of x.
This is the second case I would like to talk about Mr. Osama. Okay, which is like this question. بيحصل امتى multiplying by derivative أسامة؟ لما يكون عندك 0 to not x to x squared for example, the same function مثلا t squared minus 4. I would like to find here the answer or yes, how to do it guys the same.
لسه ما فهمت. بس انت بالاول بس عملت substitute x by t.
Yes,
بس كده.
substitute x by t بس بشرط ان هي تكون x بس. في حالة ان هي x squared in case of it's x squared here, we have to multiply by the derivative of x squared. What's the derivative of x squared? It's what?
2x.
It's 2x, and only replace the t by x. So it's x squared, all squared. Okay.
So we only replace it by x, or we replace it by the whole variable?
Replace it by the whole variable.
Okay.
X squared. That's why I did it x squared to all squared. فيكون الفاينل answer is 2x and then the square root of x to the power of 4 minus 4. ده طبعا بعيد عن البروف والكلام ده. يعني how to apply your fundamental theorem of calculus quickly in your answers or your questions. سهلة؟ سهلة طبعا بالquestions. But the third case guys, pay attention, example 3. When you have a question like this, يقول لك d over dx of the derivative of x squared here and x cubed here. يعني في two functions up and down, مش زي ما الرول قالت ان فيها a to x only. a is a constant. Okay, 0 to 5 to x, 5 to x, 9 to x, negative 1 to x, like this على طول substitution. But when it's x squared to x cubed or cosine x and tan x of a function like a square root of t, yes, t squared minus 4, any function, 2 squared نفس الفunction, okay, dt. How to solve this question? You should only guys substitute. The steps is to let f of t is equal to the square root of t squared minus 4. So to write it the same as the fundamental theorem of calculus, which is x squared over x cubed. Okay, and then f of what? Yeah, f small. f lowercase of what? t. احنا حطيناها خلاص افترضناها ب f of t dt.
So it's going to be f of x cubed minus f of x squared.
You can do it x what?
F, so it's going to be okay, I understand now.
Yeah. It's going to be guys what? Substitution عادي بالطريقة السريعة يعني. إنه هتعمل what? Substitution first by x cubed instead of at. So it's going to be x cubed to all squared minus 4, and don't forget multiplying by 3x to the power of 2, which is the derivative of what? خلينا نكتبها d over dx, d over dx of x cubed is here. Minus square root of x squared all squared minus 4 multiplied by the derivative 2x, yes, which is also the derivative of this function x squared. That's it. The final step, خلاص leave it with us like this. Okay, this is your answer. If it's a sine or cosine بدل ال x squared or x cubed, you should multiply outside here by the derivative of sine or cosine. Sometimes you have only this trick and you have to use the properties of definite integral we studied in the previous sessions. I think if a question, here example number 4, if the question here like x to 4 of any function like the square root of t cubed, yes, t cubed plus 5 مثلا dt. This all questions فينا d over dx of this all business. Yes. So what's the answer? You should let first f of t is equal to the whole function inside t cubed plus 5 and then replace it here في the question نفسه. So we have the derivative from what to what عشان تبقى زي fundamental theorem of calculus should be 4 to x. x should be up here and put negative بس. يعني بدل ما بين الاكس وال4 حط نيجاتيف بره وهاخد الانتجرال of f of t dt. This all gonna equal to the
we replace now x with t صح؟
yes, f uppercase of t from what 4 to x and there is negative here. تاخد الدerivative of this all gonna give you here guys the negative f of x. كده انا طبقت ال fundamental theorem of calculus equals f of x if lowercase of x. And what the derivative of f prime is equal to f, yes, which is negative the square root of x. I'm substituting عن t بx بس. So yes, which is what x to the power of 3 plus 5. الجديد بس ان you have negative لان انا كنت عملت flip للlimits of integration. Okay. Okay. Any questions?
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Could you please explain this again? صراحة ما مش كتير فهمت.
خلاص. Question or all?
لا بس this one بس هي.
This one in the rule
أيوة
نفسها.
بس final step.
In the rule نفسها يا عمر. الرول تقول لك من A to X يعني from variable from constant يعني 0 2 3 4 رقم يعني to X equals f of X. تعرف substitution على طول. بس هنا بس last question جاب الاكس تحت الاول بعدين الفور اب يعني الاكس هي اللور باوندري and the 4 is the upper boundary. بس فعملت substitute انت for what x بدل التي وعملنا فليب وحطينا ماينس according to this property of definite integral. تفتكرها the integral from b to a of f of x dx is equal to negative the integral from a to b of the same function f of x dx. يعني عادي تبدل وتحط نيجاتيف بس بره.
اوكي مستر.
اوكي مستر. And also you can do it directly without doing this all وهطلع لك نيجاتيف بره. How؟ يعني if the question again let me name it 5 from what to what we said d over dx of and from x to 4 right of the function. Oh, let's change the function t cubed plus 5 dt. You can solve here guys بس عايز اوريكم حاجه ان يعني you will let this one all which is f of t. So imagine that you replace this all by f of t. Yes Usam.
بس اشتغلها عادي
من غير ما تفليب. لا من غير ما تفليب عادي.
flip ماشي يا مستر. So it's going to be f, let's say okay, x to 4 f of t dt, which means it's going to be f of 4 minus f of x.
Yes,
so it's going to be
capital or f uppercase of 4 minus f of x.
So first of all let's find the antiderivative of the function. لا we don't even need لا بس هاي.
ايش ما تعكس يا مستر وتحط النيجاتيف زي
مستر بدون ما نعكس.
اولا هذا اصلا كله بكام؟
root 4 cube
f of t from what to what x to 4. انا بوريك يعني ان انت لو حتى مع عكست هتطلع لك بالنيجاتيف برضه.
مستر so it's gonna مستر be اسمه f of 4 cubed plus 5 root 4 cubed plus 5.
Yeah, you will
which is 64
substitute
plus 6
ازاي
root
تعمل
69.
substitute for 14 and this is
Yeah.
for x.
Yes.
Yeah, this
This
all
is
will be
X.
0.
Okay, yeah.
This all will be
ماشي.
0 and then minus
ماشي. Okay, f of x, so you put the x inside, so it's gonna be x cubed plus 5, and the derivative is
multiply
1.
by
So
1.
yeah.
So your answer is negative again. X cubed plus 5 يعني the same as the previous one, the previous answer. So قلبت أو ما قلبت يطلع لك كده نفس الانسر. Which is here the same as this one. Okay,
مستر
guys.
اف اوف 4 ليه 0 مستر؟ اف اوف 4 ليه 0؟
It's a constant. It's constant. يعني بقول لك from what to what? From x to 4 and this t dt يعني كانت تعتبرها كأنها constant. فاكر؟ ان دايما اللي تحت ده تعتبره 0. لما تيجي تعمل substitute عنه في الفانكشن بيطلع ب 0 because it's a number not related with the t. Okay. او بمعنى اخر عشان بس ما ابقاش ضحكت عليك اللي هي what's the derivative of f4. انت بتاخد ال f prime of the upper case. The f prime of 4 0 and the f prime of x which is f of x small او lower case according to the fundamental theorem of calculus. قال لك ان هذه ال f prime بتاعتها f of x. اوكي. فهنا f of 4 او f prime of 4 ما ال f prime خلاص عارفين ان هي ده prime. انت تاخد البرايم برا. The prime of 4 is what 0 and the prime of where is d over dx اختفت. ما هي اصلا انت عملت لها d over dx of this all which can be written as f prime of 4 minus f prime of x. f prime of 4 0 and f prime of x حسب ال FTC fundamental theorem of calculus part 1 is equal to f of x يعني replacing the t by x plus 5. بس بالنسبة لل 4 بتكون f prime of 4 0 لأن 4 constant. Okay. Any questions?
No, Mr.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Welcome يا شباب.
السلام عليكم.
ستيك. السلام عليكم.
رايح فين؟
ما خلصنا.
ليه يا ابني؟ 45 minutes still till 9:30. يا عم لسه. لا اله الا الله. مستعجلين انت.
لا يا مستر بالعكس.
Of the fundamental theorem of calculus it states that وهنا في الكتاب نسميها part 2 فعادي. If f is continuous on an interval AB and f is a non-negative function and its f has an antiderivative on that interval اللي هي f uppercase. Any point in this interval AB, then the function f uppercase defined as f uppercase equals from a to x f of t dt is an antiderivative of f اللي هي f uppercase such that f prime of x equals f of x هنا ال statements of the theorem. For each x in the interval لازم ال x تبقى in the interval والinterval يكون الفانكشن تكون continuous في نفس الانترفال and non-negative or in an alternative notation d over dx of the antiderivative from a to x f of t dt equals f of x. والكتاب مديها لك بس كده. Words guys. If a definite integral has a variable upper limit of integration, a constant lower limit of integration, like here 4 and x, like 0 and x, like any constant as a lower boundary of the integration, and a continuous integrand, okay, then the derivative of the integral with respect to its upper limit is equal to the integrand evaluated at the upper limit. يعني من الآخر تعمل substitute for what? بدل ال tx. For example, wow, what's the integral from 1 to x d for t cubed dt? The answer will be x cubed. The answer only هنا because it's x, the upper limit is x. يبقى بتعمل substitution directly here. So your answer is x cubed according to part 2 of fundamental theorem of calculus. The integrand is continuous. هل t cubed a continuous function? Yes. So directly substitute here. Okay, when we evaluate the integral and then differentiating gives x cubed. يعني if we evaluate the integral which is t4 over 4.
Sir, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, so I won't be here if you call on me. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah. X to the power of 4 over 4 minus 1/4 here gives what, guys? If we integrate بعدين عملنا differentiate for this circled part, gonna give us x cubed. The same. Okay. Example 11, which is related also with part 2 of fundamental theorem of calculus. Because sine x over x, is it continuous? Everywhere? No, not continuous everywhere. But the function here is continuous on any interval that doesn't contain the origin. يعني ما يعدي ب0 0 يعني يبعد عن الزيرو. Because of x 0 بتعمل مشكلة، بتكون not continuous فبتضرب الفندمنتال ثيورم في calculus خالص. That on the 0 to positive infinity. 0 not included يبقى yes, no problem. But between -1 and 1, no. تقول له I cannot do this question. It's improper what integral. Calculus 2, d over dx of from 1 to x. From 1 to x شغال and ال 1 بعيد عن الزيرو. So sin t over t dt فعادي تكون sin x over x and this is your answer.
مستر معلش بس ما فهمتش كيف الانسر كيف جابه.
It depends on two parts. You have to check first if the function is continuous on the closed interval, and also that there is a variable in the upper limit here.
بس ما اسمعش، انت مش قلت انه عند الزيرو ما بتكون continuous؟
هو قال لك zero not included هنا مفتوح يعني open interval. So zero is not included. If zero included يبقى we will not apply the fundamental theorem of calculus part 2 because here he said from 1 لو قال zero here يبقى we will not be able to do it. Okay, sin x over x عادي substituting. بعدين قال لك I will not be able to do it as the previous question. then اجيب لك الانتجريشن and then differentiate to show you that they are the same. Unlike the preceding example, there is no way to evaluate the integral in terms of familiar functions. So formula 11 here, this one, provides the only simple method for finding the derivative. It's so easy to find quickly and محتاجة شغل كتير وانت لسه ما اخدتهاش قصده كده يعني. Okay, this is related with part 1 that inshallah we will say. The fundamental theorem of calculus states also that the different integral from a to b of f of x dx equals f of b minus f of a. This is part 2. Part 2. And here in this part, I'd like to say something quickly. Yes, since here the function, if we draw a somewhere function, and we name it here y equals f of x. We can name it f of x now. And this function here يا شباب is continuous. يبقى كل الفانكشنز اللي شغالين عليها should be continuous on the closed interval a b. This is part 2 of the theorem. And here is a and here is what b. يعني any two numbers between 1 and 2, between 3 and 4, between -1 and 2, anything. A and b is closed interval. A is included and solid lines here. And b is included. This area under the curve or under this function f represents or can be represented by a definite integral from a to b f of x dx. f of x dx. شغالين على x الآن. No need for dummy variables. Yes, the second part of fundamental theorem of calculus states that this is equal to f uppercase of b minus f of lowercase a. F uppercase دايما represents the antiderivative of f of x. Okay? يعني the function هنا a cosine, so f uppercase should be what? Sine. Okay? For example here of the second part, when we would like to
Mr.
find
what if a or b is negative?
A or b negative, no problem. ما في مشكلة. Because our graph is in only the second part, the first quadrant or positive part of the x-axis. عادي, no problem. هديك واحدة نيجاتيف دلوقتي. ما انت حسبت في السيشنز اللي فاتت لما كان في نيجاتيفز. ما حصلش حاجة. اوكي؟ should be continuous بس تحتها. قصدي الفانكشن فوقهم تكون continuous. من 2 to 5 مثلا of this function 3x minus 4. It's a line. dx. How to do it? It should be f of what? 5 minus f of 2, right? So what is f uppercase? يعني the antiderivative of this function. Yes. Okay, Abdurrahman. So what's the integral of 3x squared? 3x. It's 3x squared over 2.
2, yes.
Okay, minus 4x. And then evaluate this. لما اعمل كده معناه I'm gonna evaluate from 2 to 5. ده الديفينيت انتجرال العادي اللي احنا درسناه. The second part of fundamental theorem of calculus states على كده. Okay, and then we have to substitute 5 first. So it's 3 into 5 squared over 2 minus 4 times 5. 4 times what? 5. And this all اعملوا لسه minus, plug in 2 for x, so 3 times 2 squared over 2 minus 4 times 2.
بس يعني
And then find the answer.
احنا كنا قبل بنعكس وبنحط نيجاتيف صح؟
No. Here's 5 and 2, so here the second part of the fundamental theorem of calculus, which is the same as the definite integral we learned before in the previous sessions. احنا اخذناها بالفعل بس هو بيقولها لك يعني. Okay. في السكند part in the f uppercase is the antiderivative of f uppercase here represents the integral or the antiderivative of f of x. And find the answer by evaluating, or use your calculator to evaluate. What?
-2.
This all is -2?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh wait, what? Oh, sorry.
You have to evaluate this all, يعني 25 times 3. Okay, which is 75 over 2 minus 20. Okay, minus then, evaluate this all in the calculator, guys. I think the answer is 39 over 2. Maybe like this. شوف the answer. No problem. One more example in this part when we have the the integral from
the answer is 39 over 2.
Yeah, 39.
The answer شيكت عليها 39 over 2.
Yes, it's here. تمام. Who can do this one? Can we do it directly or we have to expand first?
Expand first.
حلو. To expand first from 1 to 4 أبدأ أعمل expanded to x minus 3 as 4x square الأول. بعدين multiply first by second by 2 gives what? 12x. And then square the 9.
That's
9. 9, yeah, dx. And then integrate. I'll find the antiderivative of 4x squared. Which is 4 x cubed الأول.
بس انت عملتها ال 4 times -3.
2x times 3, 6x times 2, 12x. Following this rule, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared.
ايوه plus 2ab ف
First by second, and I'm multiplying 2x by 3 gives 4x, gives 6x by 2, 12x. يعني 2x by 3, 6x. Multiply by this 2 in the rule gives 12x plus 9. Integrate, يعني adding 1 to the exponent and divide by the new exponent the simple way. It gives here 12x squared over 2 نكمل عادي plus 9x, and then evaluate this from 1 to 4. Plug in 4 first and then plug in 1 and find the answer, or you can do it in the calculator. Yes?
استنى انت لازم تعملها
integrate first and then find your answer. Thank you all, and I'm waiting for your homework, guys, till 9 p.m. Deadline is 9 p.m. After that, guys, you will be deducted by some marks.